Hello, you guys, and I mean, I guess we're in the women's cave, but it's not really about that. I don't know.
No, we're not literally talking about ourselves and our books, and no, I'm joking.
Of course, we don't talk about ourselves.
I'm the narcissist. Exactly. So I'm going to talk about myself a little bit. Not really.
So Vegas.
We're the End I Thought Ladies, and we're hosting the Las Vegas
Writers Experience.
It's Experienced Writers Experience.
Whatever.
Or something. Workshop. Crap.
I haven't had my coffee this morning, so obviously everyone can tell now.
I can have coffee.
Well, stop always acting like you're drinking in the morning. We don't do day drinking unless we're in Vegas. So that's why you guys should come on out.
Yes. That's a good reason to go to Vegas. Day drinking and learning.
But today we have Bruce W, because his last name is kind of long and I was just going to mess it up. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Bruce Wozniak, and you're right, there's a lot of unnecessary consonants in there. You say Wozniak and people think they know how it's spelled, and then you see how it's spelled and you say, oh, that's not even close.
It's so true. It's so true. And it was really funny because we were actually doing promo for this and we said, and Bruce W is coming, and they're like, what's his whole name? We were like, you know what? Here's his website. You can look it up. We're gonna butcher it.
Sometimes I like to have a little fun with it and tell people Bruce Willis or Bruce Wayne, and then go into the whole Batman persona.
I like it.
As long as they remember you, right?
Exactly. So, Mr. Bruce, what do you do for authors? What are you bringing to this writer's experience?
Yes, so I am a publicist, and why that's important is I know that there's going to be a book publisher at the event in Las Vegas that I'm interested to hear from, because I think authors misunderstand that they get their book published and they want to sit back and just put their feet up and wait for the publisher to promote the book for them. And the publishers that I work with will tell my clients directly, we don't do that. That's why you have Bruce. And so you need to promote your own book. We've got it out for you now. And I think a lot of the authors get a little overwhelmed and say, oh my gosh, I did all that work to put my book out. I thought I could finally exhale and say the work is done. But in fact, that's when the real work begins, because now that it is out, you have to promote it. So that's what I do, is work with the clients in various activities to make sure that we're getting the word out about their book. I say about them because certainly the book wouldn't exist if it wasn't for them, but it's not so much about the author as it is, of course, their story, their product.
Exactly. Well, I find that interesting. I think I'm coming to your class because you just.
Of course we were coming to.
Yeah, I mean, we were coming to the class anyway, but I'm definitely coming now with a goal in mind, because I literally say the opposite. So yeah, I need to know why. So yes, thank you for that. So exactly, can I ask you on the fun end, because I'm gonna say when the ladies got together and they were chatting about this exact same thing. Christine kept saying, I'm going to teach about themes and character development, and we're going to do it according to the range of the students, beginner, advanced, and then she said, and then there's slots. Before and after there are slots. And they kept chuckling, talking about, we're going to have fun. So what are you doing for fun?
Well, I do have a friend that lives in Las Vegas, so as a result, being all the way in Florida, I really don't get to see her very often at all, and our birthdays are 17 days apart. They're both in September, so I hope to get together with her and we can celebrate our birthdays together. But I wouldn't be surprised if I end up wandering around a casino or two, just to look.
Just to experience Vegas, right? Yeah, we understand that.
Oh, so is it your first time out, or you've been there before?
It's not. I was actually there in April, and I was there last September, so it's not the place that I go as much as I'd like to. But it's, like I said, not a first-time visit, and it's not even first time in a long time. I'm actually very excited to be going back there. I don't have to twist my arm too hard to go to Las Vegas.
So you guys remember that this is, as we were saying, it does happen in Vegas. So yeah, it's a really nice destination spot. I want to ask a very odd question, because people, they asked us. They were like, why did you choose Vegas? And I said, because, writers have an opportunity not just to have their experience on the page, but other people's experience. And that's the first thing we thought about when we set up this workshop, was where do you get the most amount of experience in the shortest amount of time? Vegas. You're going to talk to a lot of people, and they're going to tell you experience is good or bad. So how do you see writing in Vegas? Like, picking up experiences, stimuli? What kind of stimulus do you think we could look for while we're there before we come to class?
I think it's wonderful because, what I have found when I go to Las Vegas is it is so overwhelming, but yet when you get back to your hotel room, it's like a respite away from everything that you've just encountered over the time that you've been there. I mean, if you think about it, the minute that you land at the Las Vegas airport, there's slot machines in the airport. So, you really get that whole Vegas vibe everywhere that you are. You see the signs all over for all the great Las Vegas shows that they have. And I don't want to say people watching out in the street, but you can watch tourists and locals, but you can also see the characters, I'll call them, who are essentially there to quote unquote work. They're street performers is the proper name. And so there's so many different ways to get stimulated in Las Vegas for ideas, for observations. And, myself, I also work with musicians. I work with small businesses. I had an Olympic athlete client. I work with entrepreneurs. And so, it's kind of different strokes for different folks in terms of musicians go there and all they're thinking about is the entertainment aspect. And I think other people go to Las Vegas and maybe they're just thinking of gambling. And other people go there and they say, well, I want to see kind of some of the sights of Las Vegas and I want to go to, insert tourist trap here. And so everybody has so many different things that I think it's difficult to go there and not be stimulated. And in fact, just getting out of your own area to begin with is always good because I think there's a tendency to get stuck in a rut. It's kind of like I'll tell songwriters, it's great to be performing at your local venues. And just like with an author, eventually, I don't want to say writer's block, but you're going to limit yourself by what's around you. And so eventually you have to break out of that and challenge yourself, as you ladies are doing by putting on this workshop and saying, step out of your comfort zone, but yet step out of your comfort zone to a place where people will go and have fun. So it's less intimidating because you're not inviting them to some cold, stale environment in some city, and I don't want to talk bad about any city in the United States, so I'll just say into some city that they're not familiar with, that there's really nothing attracting them there. So as an author, I think you'll have this opportunity to have your eyes open so wide to so many different things. It could stimulate a lot of creativity that maybe you didn't know that you had, because if you're a writer of drama, all of a sudden you get to see the lighter side of things. If you're a writer of murder mystery, all of a sudden you get to see entertainment. If you're a writer of crime, all of a sudden you get to see bright lights. So this is going to be an atmosphere where people will really have a chance to thrive.
Oh my goodness, I love this. You answered my second question,
which is great.
We can tell that you're used to doing interviews as well. Now, if you could quickly tell us about Now HearThis, you own this as well. So yes. How does this play into what you are going to be able to provide us information-wise while we're in Vegas?
So what I'm going to be talking about in Las Vegas is some of the tips that I want to give to the authors who come to the workshop that they can try to implement themselves. And obviously, because I am a publicist, I do have clients that in this latest author client who just signed up with me that we're going to start working together October 1st, she said, look, I've put out one book. It really hasn't done much. I don't know how to promote. And she told me, I'm good at this, I'm good at this. She named up all these things, but she said, the one thing I can't do, promote my book, get my message out there. And she's about to start writing a second. So she realized, I just need to hire someone that's what they do. At the same time, I realize there are people who say, whether I work with you or not, Bruce, there's some things that I want to do on my own. What are some of those things? So in Las Vegas, I'm going to give at my talk, I'm going to give a whole list of, gosh, I don't even know what the number is up to these days, something like 17 different ways that you can promote your book, promote yourself as an author. Because as I said earlier, you get your book out and you're proud of it. And the next day you go, now what do I do?
Absolutely.
You look at your author friends and you say, how did they get that book signing? How did they get that TV interview? How did they get that podcast interview? And they scratch their head. And so that's where someone like me steps in and says, this is how we accomplish all that. And obviously the more awareness that you can create by getting out and doing these things, the more awareness you're creating for your book. And that's what I do for my clients. Like I said before, whether it's performers, whether it's authors, whether it's small businesses, entrepreneurs, the Olympic athlete that I mentioned, it's really just communication services that Now HearThis provides. And I define those as media relations, public relations, marketing, the web, and social media.
Wow.
Absolutely.
This is going to be a plethora of information. I did use that word.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Fist bump, yes. So we're going to have lovely Bruce. Okay, I'm going to attempt it.
Oh.
No?
Wozniak.
Wozniak.
See,
I should have just left it. We're going to have lovely Bruce there. And he's going to tell us about promoting our book. We're also going to have the publishers there, a publisher there, a magazine editor is coming out to talk about writing articles, starting magazines. And she also is a publisher as well. Who else do we have? Sharon Jenkins talking about how to deal with the media. So after you finally do land that wonderful interview, how you're supposed to act while you're there. And don't forget, for all of our beginning writers, we have a Brandy, the 40-day writer expert, that can take you from the first chapter to your novel, to the ending of your novel in 40 days. And
Christine Mail, that sold 1.5 million books.
Yes. So, and she's going to teach us how to write a book that can actually sell. This is going to be a great time to come in, get that book, that idea down on paper, write it, learn how to promote it, and do everything else we need to do. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. I've been Winona.
And this is Jade.
And he's been?
Bruce Wozniak.
Yes, I'm so glad you say your last name. But Now HearThis and how to get more of publicity. So we'll talk to you guys later, and we'll see you in Vegas October 10th and 11th. Bye.